Good morning, everyone. I want to thank you for joining us this morning. The goal of this live cast is to introduce you to entrepreneurs that make a difference in our community. We want this to be a fun, informative discussion on a variety of topics that stimulate your mind. Some thoughts to ponder are: what would you do if you were debt free? Optimum health, and have the job you love going to every single day. We want you to walk away from these episodes with the feeling of, I can. I can implement these strategies, make a difference. I can use this business for my life. I can leverage them and use them and implement it. And that's what is most important for Stephanie and I on doing these live casts, is to leverage our community of entrepreneurs. So a little bit about myself. I am a life and financial coach with Alaro Solutions. I guide people to overcome their financial challenges, get out of debt, stay out of debt, and live their dreams. Stephanie is not with us today, but she is a health and wellness coach, and she is the founder and owner of the Freedom to Live, and my counterpart in many different business initiatives. So as for a guest, I want to welcome Joanna Peterson of Space. I knew I would mix this up. SpaceSenseSolutions for joining me this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome. So tell us what you do.
Well, I'm a professional organizer. So basically, I own a company that does organizing and decluttering. I work with a lot of people who are just completely overwhelmed. Usually that's who it is. They're just stressed, they're overwhelmed, they have too many things, too many items, and we live in a world where people just have a lot of stuff and aren't managing it properly. A lot of people become very disorganized by a lot of the stuff that they have. And I help people with that. I help them create systems to better manage their items. I help them identify items that might not serve them anymore, so that we can either purge them or, put them away. Some of the people that I work with usually hit a point where they feel stuck. Not always the case, but usually. So it could be that they are about to make a move, or they're about to do a renovation and they just feel like they can't get through it with everything around them. Or some of these people have just hit that breaking point in their life where they're like, I just can't do this anymore. I'm completely disorganized. I'm completely frazzled. And I just don't feel like I can go forward. Some of the people that I work with are people who do have it together and just want to have it more together. At the end of the day, what I feel like I really do is just sort of help people get in better control of their life. You just can't work effectively and efficiently in an environment that is disorganized and cluttered. And even just being in a cluttered space, or a space where there's stuff everywhere and all mismatched, and it creates like a visual clutter as well. And there's a lot of links now to mental health and clutter, and it's just really helping people tackle that. I think there's a lot of people now that are starting to recognize that it's an issue, and but it wasn't so common before. But I think people are starting to recognize now that this is an issue and I can get help for it. So it's starting to grow, the industry in itself.
And I think the awareness was brought on by like shows like Hoarders.
Yeah.
Like you see that, and then you see the mental struggle with these people, and it really brings to light that there is this issue out there.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that shows like Hoarders sort of brought it to the forefront. But a lot of the people I work with aren't necessarily at that state. And I think that's what a lot of people see. It's like, I recognize in a show like that I have a lot of stuff and mine isn't that bad, but I still feel stressed. You know what I mean? It's like they see the connection or the link of just having a lot of stuff, don't know where anything is. And it's, you don't have to get to that point. Those obviously are the extremes. And I have worked with some people that were pretty close to. I have worked with hoarders, but not to the extent of the television show, right? Because they do the worst of the worst.
The worst of the worst.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it doesn't have to be that bad, and it can be just very stressful for people. Very stressful.
I know for myself, I have such an emotional attachment to stuff.
Yeah.
And I know Stephanie has been working with me to get over that attachment.
Yeah.
Because it's just stuff. But how do you help your customers with that emotional attachment?
It's, it's always really tough because a lot of people have these emotional attachments for different reasons. And that's something that, you don't necessarily have to get to the root of the problem, but just recognizing that everybody's different and the extent of their attachment is going to be different. So sometimes it's really the one thing that I'm good at is just talking to people from a very empathetic standpoint. I know that some organizers are just like, get rid of it, get rid of it, get rid of it. But sometimes even just being heard from the client is helpful, and helping them understand that I'm not just somebody who's trying to get rid of your stuff. I actually understand your situation. And I'm coming from a different place of when you nudge them to sort of let things go, they feel a little bit more comfortable when you come from an empathetic place. The other thing is I have to recognize as an outsider, are they holding on to it for a reason that's not valid? If you have an emotional attachment to something and it does carry memories with you, it's okay to keep it. And that's something that some people have to realize is we can do something like a memory box where we put all your, possessions and memories in there that mean something to you. If it's something like, there are people that will hoard really, really, this is just an example, but something as silly as like pencils or this, like those are the kind of the unrealistic things, right? And those, you just have to sort of nudge them and say, whatever the item might be, somebody else is better off having it, or it's not worth it. It's just the gentle nudging. And you really have to kind of get into somebody's head and see what the reasons are.
I find a couple of years ago, probably about 3 years ago, I went through my first initial purge and get rid of and clean out. If I didn't do that, I'd be in a heck of a mess right now. But it was working through where you were in that time, in that space. It's like, okay, no, I've got to do this. And I find this is 3 years later, and now I'm coming up to that point again. It's like, okay, but the driver for me is maybe I want to downsize. I want to travel more. I want to be able to work and travel. So it's like, okay, well, let's look at what I could get rid of. But then in my heart is that, oh my gosh, the old cherry wood rocking chair from my great-great-grandmother. My mother was rocked in it. And it's that emotional attachment for me. It's like, well, my kids have no need. They do not want
No. And I think it's also a matter of really identifying the past from the present. And it's like you said, for example, you want to travel, you want to do these things. It's really about identifying what is meaningful for you right now. Do you need those things, and do they serve you? You're a different person than you were before. And it's almost like the stuff that you have can either keep you in the past or move you forward. So letting stuff go is also kind of like a form of release to allow you to go to do the things that you want to do, and move forward in life. And
Go
ahead.
Go
ahead. I just completely forgot what I was going to say anyway.
No worries. But it's funny because I lived in a smaller home, and I had this tea cart from my grandmother. And it was like, oh my gosh, this tea cart had been through puppies chewing the wheels, to my husband at the time repairing it like 3-4 times, to then sitting in a garage for like I was at my last place for like 15 years. It sat in the garage, but I kept it. So then when I moved into a bigger home, I was like, oh, this tea cart. Well, I see it every day and I look at the dust and it's like, why? Do I really even sit in that room to do anything with it? I don't.
Well, the other thing that that is often recommended too, it's okay, so if this thing is sitting in the garage with dust, you're obviously not using it, right? But it does hold memories. So what you do is just take a picture of it before you let it go, right? Because it's the memories that you have of it. It's seeing it that brings back those nice memories. So if you take a picture of it, you don't lose that, right? But you don't have it taking up the space.
Oh, see, that's brilliant. I would have never thought of just taking a picture. And you're right. It's like, well, I could say, hey, that was good.
Well, yeah, because it's not like you're there playing with it anymore. You're not, you're not using it, right? It's just the memory that you want of it.
And it's just like the rocking chair. I'll tell you, I have one room that is a sitting room and it's got all my antiques. So it's got oh my gosh, filled with different antiques and all the knickknacks that were my grandmother's or my great grandmother's. And I don't even sit in the room. Why do I have all this stuff?
Exactly. And like I said, it's just the recognition. It's just the memories that mean something now at this point. But I mean, and we're at a different generation. You know, your kids probably don't want it. They don't
see the value that hit my heart in it.
No, it's completely different. And there's a lot of people that face that. It's like, oh, I've got this thing and I don't want to let it go, but I don't use it and it just sits there and nobody else wants it. So it's
I think we can all declutter because I can do so. That was just my antique portion, but we can all go into our closets and say, why do I have that much? Have I worn those clothes? Like, when was the last time I've worn some of those clothes?
Yeah. And like, I think people need to look at their home as a system, right? We're always bringing stuff in, but nothing ever goes out. And then it becomes kind of stagnant, right? So you have to have like a flow to it. Stuff comes in, but stuff's got to go out too, right? It's not just about accumulating stuff and then it getting all clogged. You got to look at it like anything else. It's just a flowing system, right? To make it healthy.
So how do you, my sister is such a flowing system. She is constantly moving, changing new things in, old things out, constant. And it's like, how do you do that? I can go into a room in my house and nothing has changed in almost a year. Like, I'll clean, but nothing has moved or changed. So how do you teach people and how do you help people work through that system or process that they should have?
Well, the first thing is there's got to be a sweet spot, right? Like you were saying, your sister is always, things are flowing and always, I think that would be really overwhelming for some people. So they might not even want to do that, right? It's much easier to just let things come in and let them go out. And it doesn't have to happen all the time. Like, some people like things done very quickly. Things are constantly moving. And it's like one step at a time for somebody, right? It's telling them what they need to do. You bring something in, you got to let it out, but working at their pace. Because if you push too much on them at once, they're going to just completely back off. So by working with different types of people, I get a pretty good idea of their own pace, and you just have to make them aware of what they need to do. You develop the systems with them. And it's just about explaining things to them. Some people just literally they didn't know that they had to do certain things. It could be as simple as you buy something, you donate one thing, for example, right? Yeah. Some people just don't have that. If you don't tell them, they don't know, right? So sometimes it's just talking to them and telling them what they need to do. And it's just starting off slow usually for people, because it's like a lifestyle change, right? To go from being one way and holding on to things and then being a different way and starting to let go of things on a kind of regular basis. it's a change. So it's working with them and just knowing that they have to take it slow, and you got to be kind of patient with them.
That's awesome. Like, I know I wouldn't have even thought of taking a picture. That's something so simple, but
It's so
nothing that
simple.
came to my mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's fairly simple.
Yep.
So you have
It's
those
just like
memories.
oh, sorry.
So you have those memories for as long as you want those memories.
Exactly. Exactly. And a lot of the solutions are very simple. Um, some people just never really learned how to be organized, right? Like anything in life, like you do finances, and some people never really learned about finances. So it's difficult for them. But it could be a very simple thing.
Yeah, and you're exactly right, because budgeting basics is so simple that it's
Yeah.
just bringing people back to those basics. So I get it.
Yeah.
Now I have to
Yes.
implement it on myself, only with decluttering.
Yeah. And you know what, too? I mean, it's not just the decluttering aspect, it's even just the getting organized aspect that I find so, like, I'm very fascinated with the way that our environment affects us, right? And how once things are decluttered and you don't have the clutter around, how you organize things and where you place your items will either slow you down or speed you up. So, another thing that I do with people is the stuff that you do plan on keeping, it's where do they go? Well, then the question becomes, how often do you use it? Where do you use it? Um, and different questions like that. And we actually work on being functional with them, placing things in a certain way so that you're actually streamlining your processes and your um, daily events and stuff. So where you organize things can actually start to change habits and develop routines for yourself. So it's kind of like a two-part system where it's get rid of the clutter. And then once you get rid of the clutter, everything that you're keeping, well, let's make sure that there's a purpose for it. And, your home is set up in such a way that you're running the most efficiently that you can.
Oh, very cool. So there's
Yeah.
a lot of psychology in this. Like, just
A
hearing,
little bit. Yeah.
it's like you hear of how you have to adjust yourself to your custom.
Yeah. And I mean, that part of it was not always something that was.
And it's about health and that. How do you keep yourself healthy while running a very busy business?
Being active is the biggest thing for me. I'm trying to work on my diet, I'll be honest, but exercise is the biggest thing for me. And I found that whenever I was really bogged down and really busy as an entrepreneur, the more I exercised, the more energy I got. And so that was the biggest thing for me. Some people say I don't have time for it, or I don't have the energy anymore. Well, it'll give you the energy. Like, you got to make time for that. So that was a big thing for me for the health part, was exercise.
Yeah, it's funny. I walk every morning, so I'm up by 4:15 a.m. and
Oh, wow. Good for you.
By 4:30 a.m. I'm out for my hour walk, and it's because it fits into
That's awesome.
schedule. It just fits in my schedule that
Yeah.
it's important to me. My diet, I am up and down and all around. I keep bringing it back every week, but we filter here and there. But my walking is just so important. It's at least the exercise I need, and I have to implement my swimming again. But I know how it just re-energizes you. It
does, and it's physical and it's mental.
Yes, for sure.
So it's like it works both ways.
So as a busy person, so lay me out how a customer would approach you, what they can do, and what is your initial setup for a customer? I know you have all these contracts, and I know you do with businesses as well as people. Play me out a day in your life.
Well, actually, now I'm trying to focus a little bit more on residential. But basically, what I do when I work with clients is I will literally go in there with garbage bags, recycling bags, donation boxes, sorting bins. So we've got the whole setup there, and then it just turns into chipping away at it, just picking stuff up. And what do you want to do with this? Some of the stuff is very obviously garbage. I do work with people where, it's obvious. But it's literally just, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time, right? So just going through the things and designating them into certain spots and getting all the like items together. One of the biggest issues people have is they'll have stuff, but it'll be all over the place. So just consolidating all the items. Once we consolidate all the items, of whatever that may be, then they can actually see, oh my God, I didn't realize I had 20 of these. And then they can start to pare down from there. So, and there's a ton of people that will go shopping at like Costco or Amazon, and they'll have no idea that they'll have stashes of stuff that that they keep buying. And so it's that too, right? People are spending a lot of money by being disorganized. Yeah. So yeah, it's just consolidating items. They see how much they have and then just paring down. And it's a simple process, but we just do that throughout the whole space. And it can go by pretty quickly, actually.
It's funny when you say that. I had a big garage before I had relocated and changed homes. Well, every time I needed a weed whacker, it's such a disposable society. Every time I needed a weed whacker, I would just buy another one. Or it's
and that's what a lot of people are doing.
Oh my gosh. When I moved a year ago in my shed, and I brought them all back, all with me. Why I haven't sold or donated any, I have no idea. But I have 6 weed whackers. 6 weed whackers, where 4 are probably brand new, only used a few times. It's like, what the heck? But it's typical. It's okay. It's a disposable society. I can't find it. Let's buy another one. I get it.
Yep. It's very easy to fall into that trap. Mm-hmm. But I think once people start to declutter and get organized, it's a little bit easier for them. Like the motivation gets there to be like, okay, I'm going to keep things in order. And, they may or they may not. There's some of their own habits that they're going to need to implement, but it helps. It helps, right? Like if you have 6 weed whackers and a whole bunch of other stuff, you're not really thinking about the system anymore flowing. You're just like, whatever, Yeah,
and that's exactly it. It's just in the shed. But yet in my office, it's like everything has a place, because I need that clear. I need that clarity where everything I have a whole system in my office. I have a whole system because I can't work in a cluttered workspace.
Right. It's difficult.
But then if you go in my garage, my shed, it's like, oh my gosh, it's so chaotic.
Yeah. It's like the out of sight, out of mind, right?
Exactly.
It's people don't think about it, because how often do you need to get something in your shed? But then it becomes a problem when you do need stuff and you're buying too many things, and it's not optimal for people, because maybe certain people are okay with it, but some people just get to the point where they're like, I can't do this anymore. I don't have enough space for it, or I'm spending too much money, or
we're just done. Like my sister is like, just done. She just gets rid of it. And it's like, my heart is like, but it's like, darn, why? Like, you're motivating me now to just go in my shed and just get rid of everything.
Just start purging.
Because I don't need it.
You don't need 6 of those, so.
No, I do not at all. So with your business, how does your organization give back to your community?
Well, I'm actually pretty new in the Niagara area. I moved here this year. I was running my business in Toronto for about 3 years, so I'm still kind of getting my feet wet here. I absolutely love the idea of giving back. I think it's great. I'm still trying to figure out what might be the best way to do it in this area. One of the things, though, that I was thinking of doing is I would love to have some sort of maybe accountability group or something for free for people who want to try to develop better organizing habits, or try and declutter and get rid of their stuff but need a bit of a helping hand. So I'm thinking of doing like an accountability, or just a group, maybe once every couple weeks or something. That's something I'm thinking of implementing, because I think I'd really enjoy that to help motivate people.
Can you do something like that as like a Facebook group? An accountability?
That would be a really good idea.
Yeah, only because I would love to jump onto an online community that gives you tips and tricks, just like I have my page, or we have our other Facebook pages, because we can kind of hold each other accountable, but then we can get those tips and tricks of making things better for everybody. So giving back to our online community.
That's a really good idea. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, and if you do, definitely let me know, and I'll post it up on this broadcast. Like I'll put it out there for anybody watching the broadcast, that they can click the link for the group in that.
Okay, great.
So
good. Thank you.
You're welcome. So, or any other ideas you come up with, be it a workshop maybe once a month or whatever, just let us know, because I think the more we band together as entrepreneurs and as women, the better we can lift each other up and all succeed at it.
Oh, absolutely.
Like we all have to support one another in this world.
Mm-hmm. And because we all come in with different things,
yes,
it's incredibly useful to all come together.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So we only have a few more minutes. I think I'm going to ask 2 more quick questions before we wrap up. And
sounds good.
What dreams do you have for the future with your business?
Well, what I would absolutely love to do, I would like to get to a point where I do grow the business. So, I would have other people on board helping me. And I would love to get to the point where I'm doing more speaking, coaching, more of the educational side of being organized and having your space in order, and also just using your environment to its best potential. That's where I'd like to be.
Fantastic. Yeah. And what does your ideal lifestyle look like that you've created through this business?
It would be that. It would be like they completely go hand in hand. Just, I've always had a thing for freedom. Okay. So I want to be able to kind of be a bit of a free bird, and which is, part of the coaching and the speaking, and just being able to do that on a broader scale. I love going into people's homes. I really do, and speaking to people, but I want to be able to expand that and be more free to do maybe stuff online, and to kind of just be the best version of myself is really the biggest thing for me in terms of looking at how I would want my future to be. And it encompasses this business because it means a lot to me. Like, I love what I do. So
there's no better feeling as a coach or a mentor or someone, is that satisfaction of seeing someone else smile and think, oh my gosh, I did this. Thank you so much. Like, to me, that is just full reward for myself.
Oh, absolutely. Like, I get people who are just like, oh my God, I feel so much better. Or just, there's a huge weight off their shoulders. And a lot of the people I work with are really down and out, right? So to be able to help them, it's hugely rewarding. Huge.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get it. And I think, as all of us, especially doing a lot more online entrepreneurship, we all want that freedom. We all want the freedom to be able to live our dream, make our financial income, but still make a difference in our community.
Exactly. And I do know that I want to get to the point more to where I'm talking more about productivity, because it's one thing to clear the clutter, but really, like, I love pushing people forward. That's my big, big, big thing. So to be able to focus eventually more on productivity is something I would also really like to do.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, Joanna, this morning has been wonderful. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. I enjoyed it very much. I appreciate coming on here.
And I'll definitely add your link onto this broadcast. As soon as we end here, the broadcast will be posted on Facebook. Please share it out amongst your friends and that. And I'll put all your links and any future links that you may have, that if you do create a group, let me know. I will just add it in.
Okay, sounds good.
Have a wonderful day and thanks again.
You too. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Bye-bye now.
Bye.